know you've been close with those cousins since getting to know them, and
Yeah,
they are people who believe in, helping their daughter, your cousin, as well as supporting you and realizing whatever it is you want to do to make your life fun and better.
yeah.
So let's see, we have one question here is how can staff who work with individuals with IDD be best supported? So how can the staff be best supported, James?
I think one way is that another staff works with this a diff. So again, one of the things that's important is that staff need to get to know the other staff work with that person, especially a new staff is taking place with the old staff member, is to learn from each other what things work well with this person, what's the strengths, also the weakness of this person, what is when boundaries cross or a person feel overwhelmed or having not a behavioral problem, if something bothers them, little things like that, to pick up little things like that. Because sometimes people think people are angry at them, but something else bothers them. Then the staff could tell the person ahead of time and say, okay, he's not having a fit. Something's wrong with him. We need to talk things out. Say, okay, what's wrong with you? And help you to do that. But also to know about ways to help them to cope with it too at the same time, like by words and phrases to make the person feel more comfortable to talk about it. Not try to mother them or father them if it's a male staff member. Because if you're fathering or mother people, it does not go far for the person, then they don't feel comfortable to talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Another question was, what are some ways to support and empower folks with IDD to gain independent housing stability?
I think one of the things of today compared to the person I'm today, if I was the person of yesterday, of of yesterday to be here today, I think one of the things is important is to help people to have a comfortable place to feel safe. And they could call it its home. But at the same time, if a person who wants to work in the community or to get enough money to pay rent, food, lights, and stuff, because one of the things I learned early on in my life of the person yesterday was that, and first I need to get a job. At the time, I was getting a small SSI check. The SSI check really have a plan in place, talk about benefits, and also with benefits, if the person wants to work in a job to have enough money for rent and food, but also have some money for like medical meals and stuff. Because that's the challenge of today is that the food and lights and everything is going up because I'm lucky that I have a job and my benefits have enough to cover those expenses. I think the main thing is try to have the money to cover. And one of the things I remember several years ago, people talk about checkbooks. You need to have a checking account. But today, with today's technology, you could do everything online now. To pay your rent, you pay your lights online now, and you could do it like a other bill draft.
Okay. I know when we talked about this earlier, you also mentioned a good idea of suggesting that support staff or family members can help take the person with IDD to the local advocacy meetings to
Oh,
learn.
yes. because it helped them to learn more about themselves, how to become more empowered of themselves, and not let other people control their lives. Help people to learn about how to become more empowered of their lives, and help to gain confidence and believe in themselves.
Okay. And while James is answering some more questions, I'm also going to put in the chat a link for more resources that Strategic Education Solutions has put together that you can all copy, paste into your browser. But hopefully this is a resource that will help you, and talks a little bit about for independent housing resources, and then just other good resources for staff development, for staff, for self-advocates. I think it's a very good resource. So I'm going to do my best to get that in the chat here in just a minute. All right. And then I know Madison is on, and because we want Madison to also let James know if there are some questions in the chat that he might want to answer in addition to the ones I'm doing right now.
Yes, thank you, Marcy. We do have a couple questions from the audience, so I will start there and then may give you a minute to also go into the chat and do what you were planning to do. Thank you for the questions from audience members. James, one question we had was regarding emergencies or needing crisis support. And so the question reads, James, did you ever call 911 when you were in trouble? I'm a mental health specialist at 911. What do you think I should know whenever someone with IDD calls for help?
I didn't use 911, but asked one of my friends to help me. I remember it used to be 211. When I was sexually assaulted in Louisiana, I was trying to figure what type of services I needed to go through that sexual assault examination. And I was very lucky that I have a friend who is a local director of the ARC in Baton Rouge, that he helped me respect my boundaries and keep it privacy because it's no one else's business. And he helped me find a hospital to deal with sexual assault issues, the sexual assault nurse examiner. And I went to the hospital to help me to do that. And even I called 911 other times before because of maybe a disturbed neighbor or stuff like that. But, and even when I was in a bound, what's the word? I don't know what's a good way to describe it. When I called 911, the second time was that when I was traveling with my friend Leanne from New Jersey back to Texas, I dropped my wallet on the plane on my feet. I know you guys don't figure it's not part of the subject, but it is part of the subject. I dropped my wallet, pick up my wallet, put it in my pants pocket, and then look at it if I drop anything. And when I get ready to pay my cab, guess what happened? My debit card went missing. And the guy was going to call the police. I decided to call the police before he does. And I called 911, and the operator came and the police came, and I said, I'm not a con artist. I'm not trying to get cabs free or anything like that. And lucky for me, I have two nice officers came, and my friend Charles, who's also an officer in the same district where I live in, because we do something together, another separate thing. And that the lady officer paid the taxi to the cab driver, and Charles told the lady cop and the other officer The other officer said, James is not a con artist. I trust him. He will never do that, take advantage of people. And a couple weeks later, down the road, I finally got paid by doing my speaking gig. I gave Charles my money that I owned the money to the lay officer, and he gave it to the lay officer to pay her back because I was a man of my word. And I think one of the things of today is that we need to be more patient when someone calls 911. It's troubling me that people get shot or misunderstood, they're causing harm themselves. We need to take the time to listen what's going on, listen to families and their loved ones, what's wrong with them. Because I lost a family member with a mental health crisis to him. Because no one took the time to ask him what's wrong with him. They misconstrued that he was trying to endanger them, but really he was trying to ask for help, but he did not know what to do.
Thank you, James.
I think
Go ahead.
I think it's the most important is take the time, and we should have mental health persons in place when we have like these situations going on before they go to the person's houses.
Yeah, thank you, James. Yeah, I think the question from our audience member, they were asking similar to what you're saying about as a mental health specialist, how they can support people in processing.
I think they should come to the house.
Yeah, so you said in person, it sounds like. You said being patient, maybe being curious, I think is what I heard, to try to understand what's going on and what someone's doing, how that might be communicating need for help versus like intent to harm someone or something like that. So that's really helpful. Thank you, James.
I think whenever it's like one of the things, I use the same model because I think it's related kind of because the same nurse is available 24 hours a day and 7 days a week at the same hospital. Why not have the mental health persons be on call when the person's in a situation when they make the call for the police officer? At the same time, they should call the mental health person to meet them at the house.
Okay. Yeah. So a co-response where the mental health person comes with the police officer.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful.
And then they could cause a judgment that do we need this person or not? Then we say, oh, we do not need you. Then the mental health person understood what's going on in the situation, and they could play away and go home or, go back where they need to.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a good point. And I appreciate your insights. It sounds like you have experience and maybe you've heard from other people what's helpful for them in that situation too. So thank you for sharing. Another question that we had from the audience was about benefits. So they asked, what are some ways that helped you get your SSDI? And I think, they gave some explanations. So it sounds like they were asking what in your application, perhaps, or any other approach to applying might have helped you be successful in obtaining your Social Security.
It was a long, this before Marcia worked with me. Before that, I was have to deal with the challenge to get it because they ask you to do all the cross your T's, cross your I's. And sometimes you get turned down the first time. 9 out of 10, you sometimes get turned down the first time. And second time, they do a court hearing, like a court, like after court thing. And of course, they have the attorney represent you. and I have attorney from Social Security and some from voc rehab. And during that time, I was very lucky that my attorney, and we were both shocked. My attorney and my friend Judith was shocked that the judge decided to make a bench decision. And that's unusual. It's like once a great while it could happen. And you would get a bench decision. Usually it takes 30 or 60 days to get the judge's decision. But you need to be patient because there's so many hoops you have to jump to get point A to point C. And sometimes you have to go the dirt repeal. But it's important to find someone who understands about Social Security laws and stuff. I'm not really a attorney per se expert. I wish I was, but the live experience more than the law and stuff like that. But if you find a good attorney who would be patient with you to get you to get your benefits, and sometimes you could ask the judge if they could do a bench decision the same day. That was unusual. We didn't ask for that. He surprised us that day.
Thank you, James. And it sounds like you were saying, so having helpful support in that application process, but also appealing the initial decision. So you said a lot of people are declined the first time around. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And things could be adjusted, or you could seek an appeal and essentially dispute that decision so that you can try again. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Marcy, we had another question come in from the audience, but I wanted to give you a chance if there were others that were pre-submitted that you wanted to get to, so we make sure we kind of get to do that evenly.
Well, there was one, James, that said, could you discuss the importance of consistency of, keeping things the same in regards to high expectations? You had talked about, why do you think it's good to continually tell the person that they can do, even if other support staff or family members tell them, no, you can't? Why do you think it's good to be consistent?
Because if you believe something for yourself to go far, don't let it crush you. Because it's so important. Like for me, I love to challenge my mind and challenge myself, because if I don't challenge myself, I will never live that experience. And because if someone said, no, you cannot do that, because I'm so used to as a child, and even when in high school, that people say these things to me. When I got older and older as an adult, I expand my mind to do things I never thought possible, like the cruise ship trip. Because one of the things, it's kind of silly, because as a little kid, I wanted to be an astronaut to travel the different planets and stars in our solar system. And I told my mom when I was 7 or 8 years old that I wanted to be an astronaut. But in 1994, 95, I started to get my name notarized around the country. I said, well, I never traveled outer space, but I did travel inner space because of the places I've been, people I met. And that's amazing because I thought one way I thought I would go out of space, but instead I travel inner space because I've been places I never dreamed possible. And one of my favorite cities of all time is Washington, D.C. or Chicago, Illinois, because I have friends in Chicago. But Washington, D.C., and I was very gung-ho each time I go to D.C. during the mid-90s. felt like, wow, I'm at the national capital area of that history, how the country got started from.
Thank you. And I think Madison or Asia, one of them is going to post the resources in the chat because I was not able to do that on my end. So hopefully we can get that posted.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we should be able to, let's see. Okay, looks like we're having some trouble overall. What we can do, if we can't get it to go into the chat, is we will have the attendee list from today, and we have all of your email addresses from the registration, so we can send that out via email if we need to. So we'll keep trying to get it in the chat for today, but if not, we'll still get those to you. Okay, we did have a couple more questions from the audience, so I'm going to go into those, and that might put us about at time, but we'll see if we have time for any more after that. So, James, the next question we had is, what advice do you have for someone who is seeking to hire adults with disabilities for work?
I think one of the ways is get to know the person, to look at their strengths and weaknesses, to help them have a positive attitude about that person. Because if you have a positive attitude about it, it will filter into the other employees around you to work with people with disabilities, to help the person to be successful. And really unique thing happened there was in 1995, before I became a Vista volunteer for the People First Group in Oklahoma. My boss, when I took that job, I asked my boss, will you hire another person with a disability? And said, yes, I should. Instead of the job coach do the training for that person, I train the person to train him do the routines I do at my job. Mm. Because if the employers want to do it, the employees are buying into it, they should have a good, positive way of make the person feel welcome, appreciated, and not have no bias in their head or thinking, because it was a really unique situation. Because if you got your coworkers, you got your boss, is that some people may have limitations because some may have to use a wheelchair or a crutches to get to point A to point C. Because it's just so important to get the coworkers and the management to be there, to be open and have an open mind. And also to be there to support the person doing a good job when they say you're doing a good job. Not like a condescending way, talk very slow. Oh, good though. Good job, good job. Instead, when the person get praised, they should deserve that praise. Not like a condescending way. To educate employers that statistics show that people with disabilities who want to work much harder than typical people without disabilities. The productivity numbers are really high and want to work. And the technology today is hard. I just be honest with you, the technology piece should never be part of the hiring process. We should go back to the businesses, shake people's hands, and get to know the person face to face, not on a computer screen, to answer their questions.
Thank you, James. Yeah, it sounds like you're saying you've learned preference to be making connection in person with other people, like employers and employees. And then I heard you say that essentially helping the training process and adapting as needed for each person is really helpful, as well as get encouragement or praise when someone is
and also
doing well.
and you could also do like a job sample thing. and say, here's an example of part of you doing your job. If you get hired, do like a job situation type thing and see how the person perform. And we should not cause a judgment. I know some things that could pick up fast, other times it's slow. Sometimes people ask questions. So, okay, what I need to do first, what I need to do second or third, those steps. And if the person do a good job on it to explain what's going on, why not? You could hire them. If they need help and support, we could do the same thing to be a coach for them, to help them to be a person could be a valuable employee with learning those skills.
Yeah. Thank you, James. Yeah, it sounds like hands-on, you're advocating for hands-on examples, and so someone can demonstrate how they can do the work versus needing to only explain it verbally or maybe the kind of traditional ways of interviewing. I think that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Okay, I think this will probably be the last question we have time for. But if we have any more, Marcy, that you didn't get to, I'll let you jump in at the end. So the question that we have, James, is what state or local agencies do you feel have best supported your journey and why?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Well, I think my early career was in Oklahoma because at the time I did not really understand the service system. Like I say, I was just new in the movement, knew about self-advocacy, knew everything. Oklahoma was like a learning tool, learning experience, helping me to do stuff. But with that kind of stuff learned me to help me to learn do the stuff, the trade in Louisiana. But at the same time, Louisiana was hard and challenging because the waiting list was long. Well, I'm going to say, try to explain people, the waiting list is long, and the institution bias was pretty the same in Texas, because Texas and Louisiana, they have like similar issues. But I'm very lucky that got my advocacy started in Oklahoma, helped me to do the stuff I'm doing today. And still I'm learning. It's not done. It's not just a matter of want to stop learning things, but no, I'm learning things. I'm learning what's going on because I'm using from the early days in my advocacy to the skills. I think one of the things still challenging is not in my work ethic or advocacy efforts. It's more people have more open mind about people with disabilities. I was very lucky that the people who I met at the group the singles group at my church see me as James, see my ability, not my disability label. And because if we put the disability label on the person, then people will act a certain way. But if you see the person gives the talents and to pursue what they want to do in life, we should help them to reach that goal. Because I got people. But I just wish more people look at the person, not the disability label. I want to challenge you guys because people have different skills to present themselves as a person.
Thank you, James. Appreciate that. That's a great takeaway, I think, from today, and much of what you said that can be applied hopefully in everyone's role, no matter where we work, is to focus on the ability. And I think you spoke a lot to how we can get to know each person just like we would with anyone individually and their needs and wants and goals. And so thank you for advocating for that. I really appreciate it.
Oh, look.
Marcy, I want to also turn it back over to you. If you or James have any last comments, we have a couple minutes left, and there will be links in the chat for you to fill out evaluations if you attended today. So please look for those. And then we'll wrap up. James and Marcy, any last comments? We really appreciate your time.
I'll let you go first, Marcy.
Oh, I just want to say thank you to everyone listening. I did notice that Cynthia, our boss, was able to get the resource in the chat. If y'all want to take a look, that link should be in there. And we believe that, we should have great expectations for all people that are wanting to grow and learn. And it really helps through staff development if staff and family members and other friends and family can have great expectations for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. James?
I just want to say I'm so glad so many people joined us today. One of the things, I hope you learned something that you could pass to another person today. And I want you to challenge yourself to meet someone who's close to you, to help them to be the person they could be, that person. Because you may know a person with a disability, or a staff member could be like a Marcy, or to be a person like you to help them to be a mentor or a leader. You could pass it on to other people around you. Because we need to make the world a better place to live. And we've come a long way, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Thank you, James. I appreciate that challenge. I think that I take that to heart myself, and I hope that everyone else can as well, thinking about how this can be applied in our work and in our day-to-day lives. So thank you, James, so much for your time and your expertise and all the life experiences that you've had. And thank you, Marcy, for your time as well, and Cynthia. We do have those evaluation links in the chat. This will be something that was recorded and available as an ongoing resource, which we're very grateful for, so we can continue to share James's insight and advocacy with the area that we serve. So if you learned something today, appreciated it, or know of colleagues or other people you'd like to share it with, please be on the lookout for the recording. We will share that, and it can also be found on our program website, where we have kind of a resource database of different presentations that we've had. That is Hub, HUB Learning Community at squarespace.com. So if you Google that, you don't have to remember the URL perfectly. You can find that, and we can also send out that information after today. But thank you again, and thank you to our ASL interpreters. We appreciate you and the accessibility you provided for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, James and Marcy. I'll stay in a couple minutes to make sure everyone has access to those links that, and also the Google Drive that Cynthia sent. So thank you for that. But everyone else, I think we are complete, and feel free to go when you need to. Thank you.